Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast. Today with Jacob Maggerdan,
Colin Richardson.
and welcome back to another week of NFL talk. Of course, you saw a lot of fun games last week, and there was a lot of games well worth your time to watch. And we'll see this first one we're about to dive into is one of those that really kickstarted off a really good week of games. But quickly want to say that if you are here enjoying the videos, like, subscribe, comment, helps the channel out a ton. Check out the other content on the channel, and we should get out a mock draft here rather soon. So I look forward to doing that. The Titans may or may not be falling back down that board a little bit. Win too many games. We'll get to that when we get to it. But we'll start off with this first one here and dive into it. Rams, Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. Ends up going into overtime. Ends up being a really fun matchup between two teams that we figured would be top of the NFC after seeing them play in earlier weeks. As you can tell, the Rams, they're end up blowing that lead late in the fourth quarter. We're up. Seahawks come back, and then get into overtime. They decide we're not playing any more football. We're going for two. We're going to either win it or we're going to lose it. And they go for two. They get it, and game over. It does give them a big advantage come to the, trying to get to that one spot. That'll be really, really important when it comes to deciding that. But also, it's obviously important for, future matchups. So you see what each team got from each other. As you can see, looking at the quarterback there, Matthew Stafford throws for 457 yards and three touchdowns. It's just not enough to get it done. Usually that ultra reliable defense would not give up 38 points, but it was late in the game, and it was just late game moments that went in the Seahawks' favor. They have their defense, of course, getting stops and forcing those moments that they were able to convert on. Of course, Puka Nacua, your lead receiver, that's the stat line you have to talk about. 12 catches, 225 yards, two touchdowns. Probably the best receiver this week. Not really debatable. He made multiple plays when he needed to. He was doing it without Davante Adams on the field as well. So teams could bracket him, look at him, and say he's the guy, and it didn't matter. They were not able to stop him because of how good of a player he is. He beats man coverage, he beats zone coverage, and he's just a really good yak player. Once he makes a catch, he can get downfield and make plays. For the Seahawks side of things, as you can tell, Kenneth Walker, leading rusher in this game. Sam Darnold has a couple struggles. We talked about how last time they played each other, I think Darnold threw four interceptions, and so we were saying, that's not going to happen again. And this time he comes in, plays a little bit better, and I mean a lot better, honestly, and gets them in a situation where they can win the game, and they're able to get it done. Again, all offense for the Seahawks in the fourth and overtime. They really weren't forcing tons of stops, but they had moments go in their favor, and they were able to score in overtime, get the final 2-point conversion to win it, and set themselves up really nicely to try to get that number one seed in the NFC. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, this was a really, really fun game to watch. The Seahawks really struggled in the first half, and they were able to turn things around. You see what happens when you give Kenneth Walker the ball.
Yeah.
Finally got him going. Like you said, Puka Nacua had a really, really good game. And then obviously that 2-point conversion play, I'm still not positive of
Yeah.
what happened there. That was a little wild, but it went in the Seahawks' favor, and they took full advantage of it. And then once again, they went for two at the end of the game. Kind of killed me this week, fantasy wise. My kicker from the Seahawks gave me 24 last week. This
Yeah.
week he gave me two because they went for two pretty much every time. So, but overall, a really fun game to watch. Like you said, Stafford, he did amazing. I mean, you can't really ask for much more from him. It was just like both defenses have been great all year, but both of them kind of let their teams down a little bit in this one. But the Seahawks were able to pull through, and this will be a fun matchup to watch for maybe in the playoffs. So just a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I expect this could very easily be an NFC Championship game rematch. Two teams from that division that just play hard-nosed football on the defensive side and then have really, really high-powered offenses. And Stafford, Darnold, two of the better quarterbacks this year. Darnold had a little slip-up in the middle of the season, had some games where he wasn't so great, but Stafford is probably your MVP front-runner right now, or if he's not the front-runner, he's definitely in the top two. Moving on to our Saturday day games. This is interesting because we got Saturday games this week taking place during some college football action that wasn't really worth your time. So maybe the NFL games are what you checked out. And Eagles Commanders ends up being a decent football game. The Eagles do score 15 in the fourth quarter, which pretty much shut them down and got away with a win. But you can see they led in every stat category on offense. Hurts, leading passer, 22 for 30. 185, two touchdowns. A.J. Brown was his lead receiver, had nine catches, 95 yards. He's been a lot better as of late. A.J. Brown has really been stepping up as a top end receiver, which I think everybody knows that he is. But the big storyline here is you see how good Saquon Barkley is. You finally get to see these couple of weeks in a row now that we're seeing Saquon Barkley take games over and be the guy that got them into the moments that they were in last year, got them to the Super Bowl and had a 2,000-yard year. That's the Saquon Barkley you expected. He's back. He's doing that, and it's a good time to do it. If you're going to start doing it, do it now because you're about to enter into the playoffs. And if you get him going, they become a lot scarier team to face because it does allow Jalen Hurts to maybe make the passing game a little bit easier because he isn't one of the top end passers in all of football. And then for the Washington, you had your injury concerns coming into the game. Mariota goes down. What do you do after that? You go to a quarterback in Josh Johnson, who just hasn't had much success in the NFL. That's when you're having to resort to your third string quarterback against the Eagles of all teams. I highly doubt you're going to get a victory. And honestly, impressive that they're able to just to stick in it and give them a game at least. And again, late in the game was really when the Eagles ran away with it. Going into that fourth quarter, only happened to be a 4-point game. So they really had a good chance. It's just, again, they don't have the team right now. Their run game is just not all that great. Chris Rodriguez, 15 for 63 and a touchdown. And receiver wise, they have two good guys in McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, but Samuel might hit the free agency market this offseason. And I don't know what they're going to do to rebuild, but they definitely need Jaden Daniels back if they want to have any chance in the near future. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, this was another fun game to watch. I was not able to watch this when I was watching the college football, but 10-7 Washington going into the second half, and then whenever Mariota went down, things really changed. I don't know what it is about Josh Johnson. Last time I watched him play was in a playoff game actually for the 49ers there when
Yep.
they had to resort to McCaffrey and at quarterback a little bit, but he's 39 and never really had any
No.
success. So I don't know how he's still in the league, but teams seem to love him as their third string quarterback for some
Yep.
reason. Kind of interesting there. But like I said, with the Eagles, they were able to get rolling again. That's 2 weeks in a row now with Saquon starting to play much, much better than he was at the beginning of the year. And Jalen Hurts able to find A.J. Brown, 9 catches, 95 yards. Kind of what you expected out of this game. Like we've said over and over, this Commanders defense is old, so you kind of expect towards the end of the game they're going to get tired and give up a bunch of points, and that's what happened here. And the Eagles were able to come away with a win.
Yep, and you see their second NFC East title in a row. So starting to kind of take back over in that division. And honestly, I don't know who's going to be the team to track them down. I don't trust the Cowboys. I can't. They have inconsistencies. New York, they look like they may have a quarterback running back combo that could be pretty good. Some decent receivers and a good edge rush group, but they're going to be sitting there with a new head coach. And then Washington, man, you watch last year, you think they're going to be competitive, and then they're horrible this year. And the injuries now mount up where you're going to lose Zach Ertz probably. He might retire. Daniels is still going to have some injury concerns, and then the defense is really, really old. So I don't see any of those teams bouncing back to really push the Eagles for the championship spot or the division winner spot. So they should be able to rule this division for a little bit, right, as they stay healthy and move on forward with the team they have. Moving on to this next one on Saturday, this was the game to really be tuned into on Saturday, and it didn't really look like it was going to be as close as it ends up being, and then it goes in the other team's favor. The Packers are leading going into the fourth quarter, and they're up 13-3. It was a very, very strong defensive performance from the Packers up until the fourth quarter, and then lo and behold, the Bears, that are coached by one of the best offensive minds in football, string together a crazy good fourth quarter on the backs of what is a crazy recovery of an onside kick as well. And all that strings together for the Bears to come back and get into overtime, and that's all they needed. They get into overtime, they're able to get the victory. I think there was a 97% chance the Packers were going to win or something. I think they said that on ESPN Analytics, and they flip it in their favor and they go out and win it. I think that shows you right there that this is a different Bears team than in many years from past. They have not had very good success, especially not against the Green Bay Packers of all teams. So really, really impressive comeback victory. Caleb Williams there, 19 for 34, 252 touchdowns. It's a solid day from him, but really, honestly, the throw he made to win the game, it was incredible. DJ Moore makes an unbelievable grab, and the call that Tom Brady had was actually awesome. I mean, he's in the background just going, oh, just going crazy, which is exactly what you want from a commentator. And he didn't even sound like a guy that experienced those kinds of moments, and he's been in as many of those moments as you can think of. So he made it sound fun, made it sound cool, and that helped a lot with the call always can help the game look and sound better. DJ Moore, of course, is back on the scene as the lead receiver for this team, 5 for 97 and a touchdown. And like I said, the game-winning catch that was just an incredible ball, incredible catch put together. It almost looked like he got hurt on the play. He laid there for a few seconds, but I think he was just gassed from working as hard as he did to get open and make that play. For the Packers, your real concern is Jordan Love okay? Is the concussion going to be a more than 1 week thing? Malik Willis did not play bad in this game. He actually played pretty good, 9 for 11, 121 and a touchdown, and he brings you some rushing upside, 10 carries for 44 yards. So honestly, Malik Willis stepped in and did the best he could to try to get this team to a victory. But without, Josh Jacobs being healthy, without Malik Willis, or without, Jordan Love being healthy, and you're running out Malik Willis and Emmanuel Wilson, so you're just running out the backups, and they still almost won that game. It makes you feel good that the Packers, as a Packers fan, could probably get to the playoffs. But you're losing these games here over the last few weeks. That could get a little uneasy for you. But luckily enough, somebody, maybe your favorite team, punished one of those teams that's been hanging around that NFC waiver wire and sitting on the playoff line and helped out the Packers a little bit. So I think that the Packers are still looking good to get the playoffs, but it is worrying if you're without Jordan Love and even Josh Jacobs, because that's all your weapons are gone. You could be no Christian Watson, no Tucker Kraft, no Josh Jacobs, no Jordan Love. I don't think that team's going to win a playoff game if they don't have all those guys. So you're going to need them to get healthy, and for the Bears, what an incredible victory that really pretty much seals their spot in the playoff. And heck, maybe they can even push for the first seed. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, this game was incredible to watch. I flipped off of the Oregon JMU game to actually watch this one. Uh, just real quick on that, that was a terrible beat. I had Oregon plus 20 or minus 21 and a half, and then it looked great. I was about to cash out, but didn't, and then they got beat. But anyways,
Oh, gosh.
this one was a really fun game to watch. Caleb Williams, really honestly, he impressed me in this one, especially in that fourth quarter and in overtime leading the comeback. This team is so much better with DJ Moore healthy and happy. He's had some attitude issues over the years, but it seems like most of that's fixed now. He seems to be happy there in Chicago, and 5 catches, 97 yards, and all of them were huge. I really like this core that the Bears have put together with DJ Moore, and I think Colson Loveland is a great tight end. For the Packers, like you said, injuries are killing them. This team cannot win a playoff game without these guys. I'm needing them to win this coming week, so I hope Jordan Love comes back, but if not, it could get scary for the Packers making a push for the playoffs, and that's kind of crazy to say because of how good they've been all year. If they were to miss the playoffs, that would be kind of wild. But overall, a fun game to watch, another fun game to watch, and the Bears and Caleb Williams, like I said, Ben Johnson put together a really, really good fourth quarter and overtime. So yeah, good for the Bears getting their win there and likely winning that division, and like you said, push for the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good side for them going into the playoffs too. To get a close victory like that when you needed things to go in your direction, maybe you got a little luck on your side right now too, and that never hurts to have a little luck on your side going into a playoff game. Going into our Sunday day slate here, first one was actually a really fun game, and we kind of played it off as if it wasn't really going to be that fun of a game. And the Browns defense changed the game a little bit, got back there, caused some havoc, and made this game a closer game than it probably should have been. There's some injury concerns on both sides. Shedeur Sanders gets his finger messed up pretty bad, and then Josh Allen, you don't know what's going on with his ankle. Is there a potential he misses a game? There's a lot of question marks from the two teams, but the Bills did what they had to do. They got a close victory. They're good in these types of games because they're able to run the ball at a very, very high level, as you can tell looking at the rushing statistics and the headline there. 117 and 2 touchdowns. That's really, really impressive from James Cook. He is one of the better backs in the league. He separated himself as one of the better backs in the league. And they didn't need a crazy performance from Josh Allen. As you could tell, he threw for less than 157 yards because our leading passer in this game is the young rookie in Shedeur Sanders. Again, he didn't have the best day ever, but he made plays. There was moments where it was like, hey, this guy has a chance to be their starter moving forward. He had some scrambles and some rolling out of sacks and making plays. It just seemed like he had some highlight reel type stuff, which I don't think he didn't have in college. But then he also has the mistakes, and that's the thing that worries you with Shedeur Sanders. He has 2 interceptions, so again, he's throwing picks. So he's done that what? I don't know. Almost every start he's had an interception. He had 3 in one game. He had 2 this week. So you see the flashes of good play, and then you see the really bad decisions that turn into turnovers and interceptions. Now, not all those have been on him. Some of them have been bad drops or balls that should have been caught that got turned into turnovers. But you can't blame every one of them on the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs and whoever else is catching passes from you. And then again, for Buffalo, like I said, Josh Allen does finish the game, but 12 for 19, 130, no touchdowns, and rushes for only 17 total yards. That's not a Josh Allen stat line that you're used to seeing. We need to see him get healthy and get back. The leading receiver, of course, there, which is the most fun stat to look at on the whole board, is Travion Williams, coming out of nowhere. That shows you the lack of receivers that these two teams have, that there's not a single receiver that can break 38 total receiving yards. Part of that also could be the game, the style of game they were playing was a very run-heavy game. And last but not least, to mention, the injury to Quinshon Judkins was pretty gross. His leg was messed up in a pretty bad way, so that really sucks for him. He was having an awesome season, and it sucks for the Browns because you never know how much that's going to set back a running back because that's a position that is going to take more hits like that in his future. I really, really hope he gets back healthy. That's a guy that has been a lot of fun to watch. He's been successful with the Browns, so they need him, to get back healthy next year, but obviously going to be without him for the rest of this season, so that will make that running back room interesting. There was a lot of different guys that got carries in this game, including Shador, 4 for 49 on the ground. So all things considered, the Bills, they're able to sneak out of there with a win. That's all that matters, get a victory and go on to the next game. But there was some concerns. There definitely wasn't this high-powered offense, and the Browns scored 20 on you. And if the Browns can score 20 on you, who knows what some of these top-end teams that have legit talent can do to you. So Bills need to lock in, figure it out, but I think they're fine. They're 11-4, and they're going to be one of the top seeds in the AFC. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a inspiring performance by the Bills whatsoever. They went down early, 7-0, and then I was a little concerned for them, but they were able to pull away with the win. Shadur, he had a pretty good game, one touchdown, two interceptions, like you said, with the mistakes. He was able to get some things going there with his legs. Luckily for the Bills, James Cook had another insane game. He's been really, really good this year. One of the better backs in the NFL. And then, like I said, with the Browns, Quinshon Judkins going down is brutal for them, especially if Shadur is hurt as well. It'll be really tough next week. Do you know if Shadur will be back or not?
My thought is that he's going to play. I think he came in and finished the game, so I would assume he's okay. His finger was gnarly. I don't know if you saw. Did you see
Yeah.
I mean, his finger was ripped up pretty bad, but I think from what I understand, he's going to be back. But yeah, there's definitely question marks there.
Yeah, the Browns' offense is already bad enough, and then if you lose these guys, it's even more brutal. Myles Garrett was able to get a half a sack. He did not break or tie the record. He has 22 sacks on the season now. He just needs one against Pittsburgh, unfortunately, to break TJ Watt's record in a game that TJ Watt might not even be playing in. So that'll be interesting to see if he's able to get that record or not. So it's something to watch next week. But like I said, Bills they snuck by with this one, but it's not really what you want to see moving into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely not the performance you need to have against, let's say you play the Patriots again, you play like this, it is not going to go well for you. You play the Broncos, a team that can score a lot of points and play some really good defense. It won't go the same for you. They were, kind of able to get the ground game established, I think was another huge reason they won. Look what the Titans did to that Browns defense when it comes to running the ball. So I think that's kind of the thing they've been exposed is that they can't cover the run game at all. And it was not early in the year, it wasn't a problem, but I think more teams were trying to pass the ball. And then they kind of realized, hey, Myles Garrett can change the game pass rushing, but when I run the ball, we're taking him out of the game. So that's something that teams are trying to figure it out, and it helps to counter that Browns defense, which is really good. Moving on to this next one here, Chargers, Cowboys on a 34-17 victory for the Chargers. They looked really impressive. Justin Herbert looked fully healthy again. Now, I don't exactly know his health, but if he's throwing for 300 yards and he's playing the way he played, don't think there's very many concerns about his health. Really good contributions from a lot of different players as well. Marion Hampton being one of those. It's really, really good for him to be back. They need that top end running back. 16 carries, 85 yards, one touchdown. And then in the receiving game, they have Quentin Johnston, who has a great day. 4 catches, 104 yards, and a touchdown. We haven't had a Quentin Johnston day like that in a while. He's been injured. He also has just been kind of inconsistent since that really hot start. And then he bounces back and does this. And that is really what you need if you are a Chargers fan or if you're the Chargers in general. Trey Harris, Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey all also do good in this game. So there's a lot of receivers that can catch passes in this offense, and it only gets better when Justin Herbert just becomes fully healthy, which it seems like he's starting to trend in that direction. He also ran for 42 yards and a touchdown. So really, really good day from Justin Herbert. If you had him in fantasy, I think you're probably pretty happy about that. On the Dallas side, it's over. Your season's done. So now what are your next steps? You've got to obviously improve this defense in the offseason. It is not good. Some of the players you added are big boosts to the defense, but you got to do more to get back to a level where you can win games. See Joe Milton come in this game and throw some passes, so concerns there a little bit with Dak. He only goes 2 for 2 with 11 yards total, so not much in the game. Prescott does go 21 for 30, 244, 2 touchdowns. And then the stat that sticks out, I mean, looking at George Pickens there, he goes off in this game. 7 for 130 and a touchdown. So those question marks about his effort that he's been giving as of late, maybe we solved those a little bit. Maybe it was just a kind of a hiccup in the season he was having, because he does come back, and even in a game where now they're eliminated from the playoffs, he plays good. CeeDee Lamb still has a good day as well, 6 for 51, but it's not like an unbelievable day, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that, Dak Prescott wasn't good the entire game. The really impressive part, and to me the most impressive part, is the Chargers absolutely smother the rushing attack from Dallas. And Dallas has actually had a pretty good rushing attack, and all they do this week is run for very, very little yardage and only 4 yards a carry. They had 23 total carries and never found the end zone. So really impressive day from that Chargers defense overall. They didn't, stop George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, but they did enough in the run game to counter that and then made them throw the ball a ton and got that huge lead, and that was enough to get it done. Again, you can see the second half, they were absolutely shut down. So really impressive from the Chargers to the Cowboys. Got a lot of work to do. Colin, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think like you mentioned that Chargers defense here is probably I'm most impressed with that. They were able to really limit Javonte Williams. He's had over 1,000 yards rushing on the year, and they were able to hold him to 34 yards on 9 carries. So, really good job by them. And then, really, that's kind of what you expect with the Chargers against the Cowboys defense with how bad it's been this year. Able to put up 34 points, and Justin Herbert, even not completely healthy, was able to go for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And George Pickens had a great game. Bounced back. He had a back-to-back bad games the past 2 weeks, and he's able to really bounce back here with 7 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. So that was huge for the Cowboys, but there's still just not enough with how bad that defense has been.
Yeah, you just can't have that kind of performance. And again, 17 points really isn't a super impressive game from the offense. So need to have those bounce back games in coming weeks, and just try to set yourself up for a good offseason where you're going to have to try to re-sign that man named George Pickens. Saw a report today that had teams listed as who were interested in him going into the offseason. They had the Titans on there. So bring me George Pickens. We need a wide receiver one for Cam Ward desperately. We can maybe clear off that Calvin Ridley contract, or heck, if he wants to come back and he's healthy and ready to go, I wouldn't mind him being the wide receiver two and Pickens being the wide receiver one. That would be a pretty good receiver room. I will have my concerns for the diva attitude, but again, I can't complain if I'm getting this kind of receiver whenever I'm watching a bunch of rookies and Van Jefferson run around on the field right now. So just pulling for some better receiver rooms for Titans in the near future. Moving on to our next game here, Chiefs taking on the Titans, and obviously I didn't want the Titans to win football games. I wanted us to draft higher in the NFL draft, but the way they won this game and the way that Cam Ward played, I'll take the win. I'll be happy with the win because Cam Ward probably had his best game. He's had two really good games, and this was one of those two. Has a 75% completion percentage, 21 for 28. Goes 228 through the air, 2 touchdowns, and just a lot of the throws he was making. I just so happened to retweet on my Twitter account if you wanted to go check it out. Some of the stuff he was doing in that game, just some of the good looks he made. Just ball that you don't expect a Titans quarterback, or I don't because I've watched the Titans, to be able to make those kinds of throws. He gets pressured, rushed it out of the pocket. He's got three people in his face. He sets his feet and he throws a beautiful ball on the sideline. And that's the kind of stuff that's like, oh, Chris Collinsworth will be going, that's Mahomesy. That's Mahomesy. That's what Chris Collinsworth will be doing. So that's the stuff that you love to see. And desperately need it from him just because he's the first overall pick. But for the Titans in general, we have not had a quarterback that has that level of talent, because even though Ryan Tannehill was phenomenal for the Titans and had one of the best quarterback seasons ever based on passer rating, I mean, it was literally a top 10 season of all time. A lot of that happened to be because Derrick Henry was the best running back in the NFL, but Ryan Tannehill did everything right, but he didn't have special moments. Like, he wasn't special. He did everything right. He didn't turn the ball over a ton. He ran the ball really well. He threw the ball down the field very well, and he could hit the routes when they were open. But he didn't do that kind of stuff. He wasn't, getting pressure in his face and throwing beautiful balls on 3rd and 6 and making plays that Patrick Mahomes of the world make. So those flashes, those are the things that I need to see if we're going to win games, and they did it this time. So good on the Titans, and it's good on morale. Jeffrey Simmons comes in the press conference afterwards and jokes and says, Cam, why didn't I get a touchdown this week? And Cam Ward was like, He's like, I got you soon. I got you again soon. So good for their morale, good for their attitudes, good for wanting to stay in the building next year, wanting to be a Titan again. And that's all the positive stuff. Cam Ward is a gamer. He is absolutely serious about playing football and winning football, and that's something I want to see. And I've seen it from him multiple times this year. Just to go down and look at the other names here, Tony Pollard absolutely earned himself his contract again for next season. Three straight games where he was arguably one of the best players on the field. Looked like it against a defense that has Chris Jones on the interior, who I think is not the best defensive tackle in football because I think that's Jeffrey Simmons, but I think he's one of the best defensive tackles in football. So if you can run the ball well against that team, it's really, really impressive. And a lot of that has to do with our offensive line. Peter Skoronski absolutely deserves a shout out at left guard. He has allowed zero pressures on the quarterback over the last 3 weeks, and our run game has been incredible. So he is doing so much work on the interior of the offensive line. Props to Dan Moore. I didn't think I'd be saying that, but Dan Moore has not allowed a sack in the last 3 weeks, so he's been really, really good for the Titans. And honestly, you watched him play Myles Garrett, and that was when you knew Dan Moore was starting to figure things out a little bit as a Titan. And man, that is, I know you you did not expect that, certainly as a Steelers fan, and I didn't expect it when we signed him. I was just kind of hoping he'd be that mauler in the run game like he was with the Steelers. He was really good in the run game, but never much of a pass blocker. He's figured out how to pass block a little bit, and that's really, really good because we just gave him a lot of money, and we need him to be able to do that at left tackle just to protect Cam Ward. So overall, really only positives for the team this week. Also, big shout out to Chimere Dike. He is the All Pro, or I shouldn't say All Pro yet. I assume he'll get that as well, but he is the Pro Bowl first team returner for the AFC, or yeah, AFC. And I think Jeffrey Simmons also got on there as first teamer. So both those guys should be starting in the Pro Bowl, which is really, really cool. I mean, the Titans have not had starting level Pro Bowl guys other than Jeffrey Simmons for a long time. So now we get a guy on there in Chimere Dike who also has become quite the receiver. He's probably my favorite target to watch just because he has such speed and flashy ability. But you see Eligay Manor there, 3 for 58 was our leading receiver. All those things really, really positive for the Titans. For the Chiefs, I, is there anything positive? I don't know. I mean, other than the fact that you're going to get a good draft pick and a good player to put with Mahomes when he comes back next year, that could be really positive for you. But overall, the defense, they kind of got embarrassed. Again, Cam Ward's a good player. I think he's going to figure things out. But you let a guy dice you up that hadn't done it to everybody this year. A lot of that has to do with the fact that his weapons aren't that great, but the weapons look good in this game. And then Tony Pollard runs for over 100 yards. So what can you say about your defense? You just don't love that performance. But then on top of that, offensively, Gardner Minshew, I mean, this is extremely bad luck from the Chiefs. You have Gardner Minshew, who literally hasn't started a single game this season, comes in for the injured Patrick Mahomes, who tore his ACL, and then Gardner Minshew tears his ACL. What are the odds of that? That has to be incredibly low to have two quarterbacks tear their ACLs in back-to-back weeks for the same team. So then they get Chris Olodokun in the game from South Dakota State, who we joked before the podcast was a seventh round pick who didn't make his team out of training camp. So that's not what you want starting at quarterback. The run game was abysmal, and Rashee Rice didn't play. So they had no real chance in this game. All those things piled up, it gave the Titans a huge advantage, and I don't know if I've said that this year. So the Titans had a huge advantage, looked like the far better football team against the Kansas City Chiefs. Literally anybody would have told you you were a psychopath if you told them that before the season started, and that is a real statement. That is a fact as of today. Colin, your thoughts here?
Yeah, really positive things from the Titans this week. Like you said, obviously Cam Ward, he played it really, really good. One of his best games of his young career and of the year. And then Tony Pollard, that's back-to-back-to-back games for him, three in a row that he's, I think, rushed over 100 yards or been right at it. He's been really, really good recently, which is I mean, he's still fairly young. So, I mean, he's obviously not Derrick Henry, but he's he's been really good the last 3 weeks, and I think that's positive signs for the Titans who might want to look at re-signing him. And then I think just Cam Ward being able to do what he did in this game against this Chiefs defense, who I mean they haven't carried the dynasty, but they have been a huge part of it. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes, but the defense has been there year in and year out, and Cam Ward was able to do this. And like you said, he has no weapons. I mean, you've got a bunch of rookies and Van Jefferson running around. So the fact that he was able to do that is super impressive. And then on the Chiefs side of things, uh, so the Chris Oladokun, if he
There you
is
go.
if he's the starter for the rest of the year, I don't know that they'll win another game because, like you said, he was a seventh round pick from Pittsburgh and was graded an F in the draft for this their seventh round pick, and he didn't make the team out of training camp. So basically, a wasted seventh round pick, and now he's found himself starting in the NFL. So I mean, I hope he does good for him. Maybe he can get another contract somewhere else if he plays good enough. So. Hopefully for him, he plays good, but I really don't know that the Chiefs are going to win another game, especially if the defense is playing this bad and the offense obviously is not going to produce anything because they haven't had a run game all year. And now you throw him in at quarterback. So it could get really ugly for the Chiefs.
I mean, you really have to think that he was probably on this roster because they never thought they'd get to QB3. Like they just
Yeah.
thought, we have Patrick Mahomes. He's never going to not play a game. We have no concerns about him not starting. And if something crazy happens, we have one of the best backups in the league potentially in Gardner Minshew. They were just thinking, let's pay the cheapest guy possible, put him on the practice
Yeah.
squad, and we don't have to worry about quarterback. And you end up having to play him in a game against Tennessee of all teams, who you could probably beat without Patrick Mahomes, and if just had Gardner Minshew, and they didn't look good at all. I mean, again, the Titans played really good. No, I'm gonna quit hating on my team, but just watching this season, you know the Titans can easily lose to anybody they play against, and they dominated this game. It wasn't really particularly close, and that's really, really sad for the Chiefs, for those fans. But I think they've had plenty of wins, so and they'll probably get back to their winning ways next year. I think they'll be
Yeah,
all right.
they'll get a nice draft pick too, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, what if they go out and get Jeremiah Love to give to
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes? That is a frightening thought. Moving on to this next game here, Bengals Dolphins, and we called this game. We both called it. The Bengals are just way more talented than the Dolphins, especially without the continuity of quarterback play. Because Tua obviously was not having a good year at all, but the week before he actually didn't play that horrible in the second half, like you said, when they put out the prevent defense with the Steelers. He had some decent moments and was able to kind of get the ball up and down the field without the bad turnover issues. They got the bad turnover issues because Quinn Ewers, I think, threw two interceptions in this game, so not a good performance from him. He doesn't have the worst day ever when it comes to just passing yards through the air. I believe he had over 270 yards, but it's just a bad, bad day overall from the team. You have the Devon Achane concerns coming into the game with his injury that he had last week, and he still had to try to be your workhorse. He does great on the ground, 15 for 81. You can see that there. They just have one of the worst defenses. I thought the Bengals defense was bad. Man, you watched the Dolphins play this game, and you thought that's a bad defense. Joe Burrow goes absolutely off in this game, bounced back big way in a big way after that struggle last week. Goes 309 and four touchdowns on a 25 for 32 completion percentage is just incredible day from him. Jamar Chase cooks the Dolphins, I should say, 9 for 109. And it just didn't look like the Dolphins had any chance at all in this game. Jalen Waddle again hasn't had the best season ever. Bounce back year just hasn't been as good. And Dulcich is a guy that got cut from the Broncos. So just not a good team. The Dolphins are really bad. I don't know what happens in the coaching search. Maybe they'll fire McDaniel, but I don't know if they will or not because it's going to be so hard to try to get another coach right now. I mean, there's so many teams that have already started interviewing and looking at other coaches. And if he gets fired, honestly, he might be a really good offensive coordinator. Somebody would probably bring him in for that. So I don't know what happens there. And for the Bengals, great win. You absolutely love to beat up on somebody and see Joe Burrow and what this could have been if the season had if they'd been healthy and everything. But they've still got so many concerns to address on the defense. And so when we do our upcoming mock draft, look out for what we do because these are two teams that could get very interesting. What if the Dolphins are a team that trades up for a quarterback? What if they're one of those teams that they're moving off Tua, they try to move him off for some draft capital and then use that to move up in the draft? That could be a fun scenario we test out. And then also from the Bengals, they're absolutely taking a defensive player. I don't care what position on defense. Get somebody. Colin, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good win for the Bengals, but at the end of the day, their season's over. I have a friend who is a big Bengals fan, and he gets so mad because they always miss out on the playoffs about halfway or a little over halfway through the year, and then they start to win about every game. So look for the Bengals to finish 7-10 and have a decent draft pick that could have been much, much better had they not won. But I mean, with it seems like Burrow gets hurt at the beginning of every year, so it's kind of the same way every season goes. They get Burrow back and then they start winning, but they've already missed out on the playoffs, so it's too late. But a huge win for them, or not huge win, but huge margin of victory for them. And then you see Burrow and Chase, their connection still there, and then Higgins. I mean, honestly, this offense it's unstoppable whenever they have everyone healthy. Definitely one of the best in the NFL. if they could just fix that defense, they would be a super, super scary team. I think also you mentioned head coaches. I think Zach Taylor is one to watch get fired as well because I mean he's had this loaded offense for years and just not really he made that one Super Bowl run, but not really been able to do much past that. And it kind of just feels like he's not an AFC North coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You kind of have like your defensive minded coach. He's kind of more of an offensive minded coach. So maybe look for the Bengals to move on from him as well. And then for the Dolphins, you see Achan, he had a good day, but Ewers did not do good. I definitely don't think he's your answer at quarterback. And I mean, they have a decent little core with Achan and Waddle. They definitely need more weapons, but you have a start there. You just really need a quarterback, and the defense looked terrible. So, not too much to look forward to there for the Dolphins. And I think you're completely right. They might be one of those teams that look to trade up for a quarterback. That would make a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, and they also have the asset in Tyreek Hill that could get moved, I guess. If you wanted to move assets and try to get picks, Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, both could go somewhere else and potentially return you some draft capital. And then maybe you could even package those guys together for another team's draft pick that doesn't have the highest pick in the world and go after a quarterback. I don't exactly know the process there, but I think there's definitely a market for Tua. Somebody's going to probably take a chance on him because of what he did, 3 years ago, 3 years ago. And Tyreek Hill, I think, was having a pretty decent season before he tore his knee apart. And I don't know what his plans are as a player, but he's still got some left in the tank, I would assume. But those guys are going to be potential pieces for them to trade and try to move up for a quarterback, which I just feel like that's something they could definitely do, especially if McDaniels has to win. Because if you have to win, you have to get a quarterback first. You can't win without one. So it'll be interesting to see them as a team and what they plan to do. Moving on to this next one here, Jets taking on the Saints, and the Saints, man, they are rolling right now. They have played some really good football over the last few weeks. Their defense has really stepped it up. I picked them up in fantasy. They gave me 20 points on defense, and heck yeah, I took that and was very happy about it because I had them in a semifinal. In a and also in a fantasy championship game. So really, really good pickup there on the defensive side. But also their offense, man. Tyler Shuck is clearly going to get another opportunity to be the starter next year. I absolutely. I mean, what do you bench this guy? You give him away. It's stupid. He's a second round pick. So first of all, you have a decent pick invested in him, and he's also balling out. 308 yards and a touchdown, and then he also brings his own little bit of a rushing game. Didn't do it much this game, but he's done it in weeks past. So really, really impressive from him. It's not hard to find Chris Olave. For some reason, Spencer Rattler was not throwing Chris Olave the ball a ton, and that's something Tyler Shuck has absolutely started doing. 10 for 148 and two touchdowns. Man, the rumors of them trading him at the deadline were really heavy, and they didn't do it. And I think it kind of looks like a pretty good decision because now Tyler Shuck has a real weapon to go to. Like, that's what I want Cam Ward to have, is one of those guys he can go to for 100 yards in a game. And just, it's a guy he can constantly target. I mean, that's almost half of Tyler Shuck's yards going to one player. So, it really, really good player and a really good day from him overall. The rushing attack, obviously the question marks were there because Devin Neal goes down. They're already without Alvin Kamara. The answer, the all utility man, Taysom Hill, 12 for 42, and also throws a 38-yard touchdown pass. So that is Taysom Hill. That is exactly what he's on that team to do, and he does it, fills in the need at the running back position as their leading guy with carries. They also have Audric Estime getting 5 carries in this one, but that wasn't the plan. The plan was let Tyler Shuck cook in this game and let Taysom Hill do whatever he has to do to create some momentum in the rushing attack. For the Jets, they're horrible. They're really, 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 really bad. This is probably the worst team in the NFL. I think if you let me pick out of everybody, I'd say Raiders or Jets. And I think the Titans have clearly stepped away from that group of teams. Heck, the team we're about to talk about in a second at 2-13 is, I think, clearly better than the Jets. So bad, bad football team. Brady Cook is leading them right now too. 188 yards in the interception. It's not like an embarrassingly bad day by any means, but he was sacked 8 times. Brady, get rid of the ball a little bit. I know part of that's probably this terrible Jets offensive line, but the other part of that has to be the fact that he's just holding onto the ball way too long. They also have Breece Hall as the leading rusher in this game, but 16 for 54 is not really the best day for your leading rusher. Overall, a lot of concerns for the Jets. They are absolutely the heavy favorite to trade up in the draft to that number one overall pick if it isn't the Vegas Raiders and try to get a Mendoza. And heck, I think they could even trade up to number two and try to get a Dante Moore or whoever's available there because they desperately need a quarterback and they need one now. That is a bad, bad day from them. A really good day from the Saints. A lot of positives moving forward. And Tyler Shuck is looking like a pretty legit NFL quarterback. Colin, your thoughts?
Yeah, great day for Tyler Shuck. I think he's honestly I did not love him in the second round where the Saints got him, but he has proven me wrong. I mean, that's three in a row for the Saints, which is crazy. They could get four this week. They got the Titans.
Yep.
And they beat the Buccaneers and the Panthers in their previous 2 weeks. So that's two pretty good wins. The Jets obviously are not a good team at all, but I mean, Tyler Shuck has, I think, been everything that the Saints have wanted him to be, really, so far. And then, like you said, his connection with Chris Olave has definitely been there. 10 catches for 148 and two touchdowns is crazy. And then Spencer Rattler, I don't think he was going to Olave enough. Like he wasn't necessarily a bad quarterback
Yep.
when he was playing, but he wasn't winning them games. And I mean, clearly the team, it's not a good team by any means, but clearly they can win games with good quarterback play, and that's what we're seeing now. And then for the Jets, like you said, Brady Cook on the year has one touchdown and six interceptions. It's just not good. He is not cooking whatsoever. It is just absolutely terrible. The Jets need a quarterback. Fields clearly wasn't their answer. Tyrod, he stepped in and played decent, but
Yeah.
he's not your long-term answer
No.
for sure. And then Brady Cook is obviously not your answer either. So I think they're definitely going to be a team looking for a quarterback in this upcoming draft or possibly free agency. I'm not sure who will be available. And then I think obviously with the 8 sacks, you need some offensive line help too because they couldn't even get the run game going either. So I mean, the Jets need just about everything. But the good news is they traded a lot away and got a lot of first round picks coming up. So that is good news if you are a Jets fan.
Yeah, and maybe they want to use that top five, top six draft pick on a lineman and draft like a Ty Simpson with that 17, 18, pick. And if Ty Simpson enters, of course, there's some rumors he might not because of the struggle he's had at the end of the year, but he played pretty good in that college football playoff game. So maybe Ty Simpson will come out and that could be a really solid option at the, back end of the first round. I think the Steelers would definitely be in the conversation to look at a Ty Simpson type of player because of where they're drafting. But he would be an interesting option and pick that lineman early to try to bolster the line for the next guy that comes in because you don't want to put them in the same situation that the quarterbacks are in right now in this Jets offense. Moving on to this next one here, Vikings Giants, and I actually had the Giants winning this one in my predictions. I thought the Giants defensive line would be able to get back there and get after nine, and they did. It's just a matter of the fact that the Giants have no offense at all. They could not move the ball up and down the field, and it was really, really bad for them. For the Vikings, obviously you get the win, but this is a terrible win because you win, but JJ McCarthy breaks his hand and has to have surgery. So it really sucks to get this win because it doesn't really help you at all. And all it does is make you lose your quarterback. And now Max Brosmer will be the starter moving forward. I assume that they'll shut down McCarthy. There's 2 games left. I can't imagine he'd be able to play on a broken hand either of the next 2 weeks. So that'll probably do it for their season. I think they finish out 7-10, and that's not where you want to be at. That's sitting right in the middle. So you're not getting a great draft pick, and you're also not making the playoffs. So bad year for the Vikings, especially after they won 14 games last year. So not what you expected. But again, McCarthy in those short snaps he was playing wasn't playing great. 108 and an interception is not the best day ever, but he did have a rushing touchdown and 20 yards on the ground, so he does bring a little bit of rushing upside. You can see Aaron Jones there had an awesome day. 85 yards from the old man Aaron Jones, who's been sitting on the bench because of his injury, is a great day from him. You'll take that all day, every day, just to come in there, control the clock, get the game over with, get you a victory. And then you look on the other side for the Giants. Of course, they've had their own concerns. Their offense is just not very good. Jackson Dart has by far his worst game. He was really honestly horrible in this game. 7 for 13, 33 total yards and interception. Just not a good day at all. He doesn't do anything on the ground either. You got to think maybe some of those injury concerns are starting to rise from where he's been taking a million hits, that maybe he's feeling it a little bit, not playing as good because that's just a bad, bad day. Look at the rushing attack for them, split between Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. And honestly, 120 yards on 30 carries, not a bad day on the ground. They were running the ball decently well. Their quarterback play was just abysmal in this one. Leading receiver for them had 19 total yards in an entire NFL football game. That is really, really, really awful. So overall, good day from the Giants defense. They do a pretty good job of getting back there. Unfortunately, McCarthy gets hurt for the Vikings. They got the victory, but at what cost? Your thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't know that the Giants like Jackson Dart threw the ball 13 times,
Yeah.
was 7 for 13 with an interception. I'm not sure what was going on there. I mean, even that's just like a really low number 13 times for a whole
Yeah.
game is kind of crazy. You saw like Tyler Shuck in the previous game threw 35 times or 45 times, something like that.
I think
So
it's 49 and 32 completions. Yeah.
yeah, that's 13 is I don't know what happened there. And then only 33 yards is crazy. That's 2.5 yards per attempt.
Yeah.
So I mean, they clearly did. I don't know if they didn't trust him this game or, or what was going on there. Maybe they knew he had some injury concerns or
Yeah.
something, but you would think they'd put in Jameis during that. But anyways, besides that, they, like you said, they were able to get the ball moving on the ground. I guess maybe they were really trying to abuse that, but clearly it didn't work as they scored 13 points. And then McCarthy, he wasn't playing great, wasn't too terrible. He's been much better
Yeah.
since he since the start. He had a awful start to his season, but he's been a whole lot better. So that's good if you're a Vikings fan. But like you said, he broke his hand in this one, and Max Brosmer is now your quarterback, and you're out of the playoffs. So do you really want to win games at this point, or do you want to tank for that draft pick? It was good to see Aaron Jones though get going again. I mean, definitely one of your older backs. You're going to need to replace him pretty soon,
Yeah.
if not in this offseason. So, but good for him to get going again. And then just overall, not too important of a game, but a decent win for the Vikings there.
Yep, and we're just rolling into this next one here because of the importance of this game. Buccaneers Panthers, man, absolutely matters a ton. Both of these teams desperately needed to get a victory here. Both of them kind of coming here sliding. Neither one of them were playing all that great. So I would argue the Panthers playing a little bit better than the Buccaneers, and so that's what ends up prevailing in this game. Is the team that was just playing a little bit better football slides in here and gets a victory. Absolutely, like I said before, needed this win. Bryce Young, not bad at all in this game. 21 for 32, 191, two touchdowns. The big thing for them was Tetairoa McMillan was able to go, was able to play, and was clearly the best receiver on the field. 6 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Having a great, great day for the Panthers. If you're talking about the future for this team, I think Bryce Young has showed that he can probably be your quarterback moving forward. I don't think he's going to be some superstar. I think he's shown too little to let me say he's going to be a superstar, but he brings you some positive upside. He's stopped turning the ball over as much, which is a really positive thing, and he finds his best player in Tetairoa McMillan. He also goes out to Jalen Coker, and he has a pretty solid day. So, not bad at all from the Panthers. They do get the huge victory, and that's only a positive. There's no negative there when you win this game, and it only pushes you closer to getting into that playoff. And then on the other side, the bad news for Tampa Bay is Baker Mayfield has clearly suffered that injury that he had, and it has lessened his ability to be a top end quarterback. He throws for 145, a touchdown interception here. That's just not a good day from Baker Mayfield. Not when you're trying to win and get into the playoffs. Yeah, another part of that is Emeka Ibuka just stopped playing good football. I think some of that has to do with his injury, but he had one catch for 40 yards in this game, so one big deep ball, and that was it. And early in the year, he was like the heavy favorite to be the offensive rookie of the year. So just the fall off there after that injury is really concerning. Mike Evans goes 5 for 31, and Godwin goes 5 for 30. So really nothing much in the passing game. And the rushing attack, you see Bucky Irving there was the leading rusher in the game, but that's only on 3.7 yards per carry. So overall, not an amazing day on the ground, not a horrible day. Baker does bring his own rushing upside, 4 for 49 on the ground, so that's some positives there. So maybe his injury isn't as serious as I thought it was by just looking at stats, but it's just concerning. Concerning if you're a Buccaneers fan because this team looked really good for the first 6 weeks of the season, and now they look honestly pretty bad. They don't look like a team that can make a playoff push, and even if they got in there, I don't think they'd beat anybody in the NFC in the playoffs. So good for the Panthers. Great job. Way to get a win when you needed it. You did it at home, and that's the important one. You can't lose your home game and then go play their place because then you feel real bad. So you just need to make sure you catch the next one and you're in the playoffs. And that would be really impressive from the Panthers doing that pretty early on in this rebuild. I mean, again, they're what 2 3 years in it with Bryce Young, so not a bad start to get into the playoffs. And who knows? Anything can happen when you make it there. So, Colin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with Bryce Young. I think he can be, obviously, he's not going to be your Super Bowl or superstar quarterback, but I think that Eagles showed last year you don't have to have a superstar at quarterback to win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. And I absolutely trust Bryce Young's throwing ability more than Jalen Hurts' throwing ability. I think there's definitely more pressing needs that the Panthers need than quarterback right now. So I think they would be kind of crazy to move on from him at this point because then if you draft a guy, you risk him being absolutely terrible. So you have a decent quarterback right now. So I think they should stick with that until maybe give it a couple years and build kind of around him. I think he's decent enough to make the playoffs this year with the team that he has, and then you keep building that team. You never know how far he could take you. So great win for the Panthers. They absolutely needed this one. And then for the Buccaneers, it's just I don't know. Ever since Baker's injury, like you said, he has not been himself. Early in the season as MVP possibly, and now it's just everything is falling apart for the Buccaneers. That's three losses in a row. They just have not been playing good at all. They do have the Dolphins this week, which is a chance for them to grab a win. But at the same time, the Dolphins have a decent little core, so you never know what could happen there. They lose that one, and their season's pretty much over, unless the Panthers were to lose both their next two, which you never know. Neither one of these teams, I don't think, are very good.
Yeah.
So I don't see either one of them making a Super Bowl run this year, but one of them's got to make the playoffs. So we'll see which one it is in the next 2 weeks. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I feel good betting on the Panthers moving forward just because they like I mean literally the headline says the playoff starved Panthers. Just desperate to get there. And the Buccaneers have kind of tasted that in the last few years. Of course they had a Super Bowl run with Tom Brady. So I think that the Panthers are going to want it more, and I think that that's going to help them probably get this division win. We will see. There's going to be another big matchup between the two of those teams moving forward. Going on to our next game here, Jags Broncos, in what was supposed to be a matchup of two of the best teams in the AFC, and you saw that for a lot of the game. And the Jags, they're just honestly a really really good football team. Not at all the read that I got from them through even 10 weeks of the season was that they were really good. They are really good, and Trevor Lawrence is absolutely taking the step forward to look like a number one overall draft pick. Something happened 5 weeks ago. He probably watched the podcast, and we were saying, "Man, Trevor Lawrence is not that good." And Trevor Lawrence said, "No, I am that good. I am a number one overall pick, and I'm going to show you why." That is back-to-back weeks of him looking like the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm talking unbelievable play from Trevor Lawrence. 23 for 36, 279 yards, three touchdowns, no interceptions, and a rushing touchdown. That's awesome. That is all you can ask for from Trevor Lawrence. And the team overall plays really, really good here. Parker Washington, 6 catches, 145, and a touchdown. That's really impressive that you got Parker Washington balling out like that. And then they have other good receivers, of course. Jacoby Myers, BTJ didn't have to do anything in this game, and they still score 34 points. Really, really good from the Jags overall. Travis Etienne did a decent job at handling that huge workload. Only 16 carries for 50 yards, but again, he's the sole running back now, so they don't really have anything else to go to. And then on Denver's side of things, you can see it right there. Bo Nix was honestly pretty good in this game. He did have the one interception, but 352 yards and a touchdown is a really good day. So you kind of take the one interception, and just say, you accept that when he played this good. And then you look at the rushing attack for them. RJ Harvey, 7 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown. Honestly, you look at the stats and you say, man, why didn't they run the ball a little bit more? Jaleel McLaughlin was also averaging 7 yards a carry. I know that they were down in this game, but at one point it was just 17-10. It feels like you could have been running the ball a lot more. I mean, look at the Bills. They gave you the example of even if you're down big, you can run the ball if you have a good rushing attack. And the Broncos had that in this game and just for some reason went away from it and tried to put it all on Bo Nix's back, and he just wasn't able to get him over the hump. Great, great win from the Jags. The Broncos, it's going to be interesting moving forward to see what they can do. I still trust that both of these teams are top competitors, though, in the AFC. Colin, your thoughts there on the Jaguars Broncos game?
Yeah, really impressive performance from Trevor Lawrence. Like you said, he's been very, very good the last 5 weeks, like around 5 weeks. The run game wasn't not really there for the Jaguars, but he was still able to get it done, and they put up 34 points, which is really impressive. I was completely wrong about the Jaguars. I did not think they were a great team, but they absolutely are. I mean, they kind of manhandled the Broncos in this game, a team that had only lost 2 games up to this point. So. I mean, they're fighting for that one seed in the AFC now. If the Broncos were to slip up and lose another one, they would have it as long as they win out. And then on the other side, Bo Nix, he played pretty good. The one interception wasn't great, but 352 yards on a touchdown is definitely a good game. And I'm completely with you. I think they should have ran the ball a little more. They were averaging right at five or over five, almost 6 yards a carry on the ground, but they only ran the ball 17 times and threw 47. So
Yeah.
they almost averaged as much per run as they did per pass, but for some reason they would not go to that run game. And then also with the Jaguars, like you said, Parker Washington was their leading receiver, and then Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas. So it's not like they have like a superstar wide receiver core, and Trevor Lawrence is still able to get the job done. So can you imagine if they were able to draft a really good receiver in this draft? This team could be really good in the next year or two.
Yeah, and it kind of looked like BTJ was gonna be that, but
Yeah.
man, the injuries this year, on top of just the inconsistent play, I think he kind of has leveled back out to just a good receiver, but not a difference maker. Also, don't forget this Jaguars team is doesn't have Travis Hunter right now. I mean, imagine they had Travis Hunter. If they had that much of a difference maker, even if he was just playing one side of the ball, he is clearly good enough to change the team. So I don't know if they can get him back. I'm pretty sure he's done for the year. Even if they made it to the Super Bowl, he'd be done. So unfortunate loss because man, he'd be very, very helpful for either a offensive side of the ball or the defensive, or heck, if he's playing both ways, he'd be a boost to this team. Moving on to this next one here. Honestly, a game will probably run through a little bit quicker because it's just two teams that it doesn't matter what they do. The wins, the losses, nothing matters to these two teams because they have nothing in their future for the rest of this season. Now, of course, for the Falcons, you want to see the positive, rookie play from those two edge rushers you went out and drafted last year, and you've actually got that from those guys. They've played pretty good this season. And if you're the Cardinals, you want to see, can we get a quarterback in Jacoby Brissett? Is he still the guy? And I think, again, this might be his worst performance, and it's still not a bad game. You can see he's the leading passer there, 203 yards, one touchdown, one interception. So, again, not the best day ever, but you are playing the Falcons, who do have some good edge rushers. They got after him just a little bit and made it a little bit more difficult to be great in this game. Also, the running back room is just not all that great. Michael Carter happens to be the lead guy right now, and then they have Corey Kiner, if you remember him at Cincinnati in college. That's just not the best running back room. He does have a good day throwing the ball out to a couple different guys. Michael Wilson, who just popped out of nowhere, and I think that's a positive because heck, if he's making Michael Wilson look good, imagine what he can do with Marvin Harrison at full health next season, and Trey McBride, who is obviously a really, really big difference maker. And then you have Elijah Higgins at the tight end position going off. Honestly, Elijah Higgins' best game of his career, I would almost guarantee it. 7 for 91 in this game. So that's what Jacoby Brissett can do. He can fuel the offense. He can get to different guys, but just not near good enough to beat a Falcons team that isn't all that great on in their own right. Kirk Cousins, 197, two touchdowns. Does have an interception, but a pretty good day from him. And then the running backs, man, they dominated this game. Algier, 79 yards, and then you have Bijan Robinson right behind him with 76 yards. And then you can see how good Bijan Robinson was in the receiving game. 7 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. That would be real lovely to have on your team if you're playing in a fantasy football game this week that mattered a lot because Bijan Robinson is just that dynamic of a player. And then you go down and look at the tight end position, which was the guy that carried anybody in fantasy last week. Kyle Pitts has another great game, 7 for 57 and a touchdown. If you're the Titans, I absolutely call George Pickens and I offer him a big contract, and I absolutely call Kyle Pitts and I offer him a pretty good contract because those are difference makers. Those are top end talents potentially at their positions. You got to give them calls. You got to give a chance and try to give them, a lot of money because you can sign those guys for more than anybody else can. Because first of all, no state tax in Nashville, no state tax in Tennessee, I should say. And then on top of that, you have $120 million cap space potentially. So, man, I would love to take shots on those talented guys. And finally, we're seeing the Kyle Pitts breakout that we all expected when he was drafted high in the first round. Colin, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, not too much to say about this one. Both these teams are out of the playoffs. Neither one of them are really good, especially since the Penix injury. Brissett, like I said, had probably had his worst game. And honestly, I think a big part of it was the Falcons were able to shut down Trey McBride, which is who he had been going to a ton. McBride only 4 catches and 27 yards. So with that, he went to Elijah Higgins, which I mean, that's just not should not be your number one receiver. McBride's is a great tight end, one of the best in the NFL. But I mean, he's pretty much their number one receiver this year. So we'll see if they're able to do anything about that. I still think Brissett is your quarterback
Yeah.
moving into next year for sure. I think he's shown plenty enough to do that. Then maybe trade away Kyler Murray if he's getting any calls or anything, or if they're getting any calls about him. On the other side, Kirk Cousins played a solid game, 21 to 35, 197 yards, just the one interception and two touchdowns. And then Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson had pretty similar stat lines running the ball, 16
Yeah.
for 79 and 16 for 76. The big difference there is Bijan had was their leading receiver with 92 yards and seven catches. So definitely a versatile back. Bijan is, and I think Falcons definitely have a stronger core moving forward than the Cardinals. But I think the Cardinals absolutely have their quarterback for next year, though. So that'll be big for them.
Yeah, and you like the positive things you've seen from those Falcons, younger players, like a Drake London finally getting a little bit more healthy, and then those edge rushers really have done pretty good so far this year. So positives for the Falcons and the Cardinals, like you said, they got the quarterback potentially, and then they have a pretty big trade asset. I think some teams would give up some decent draft capital for a guy like Kyler Murray. Moving on to this next one, one we don't need to talk too much about, do we? Just kidding. Obviously, a big time game here. The Steelers play really good football, honestly. They play great in the fourth quarter. That's some of the best fourth quarter football the Steelers have played on the offensive side of the ball, of course. Go out and score 29 points against the Lions. That's good. You're scoring 30 points. You're really happy with that offensive performance. And they do a pretty good job at shutting down the Lions. They don't let them go crazy. Now, again, they give up 24 points, but that's not, the Lions have scored like 48 this year. So if you're cutting that in half and only giving up 24, that's pretty good against a Lions team that was pretty much at full strength. Again, they're going to have Laporta down, and so there's some, not everybody's on the field, but they have all the receivers and they have the running backs going at pretty full strength. So really good positive showing from the Steelers. With Jared Goff, has an awesome day, 364 yards, three touchdowns, no interceptions. One of the best days that he's had this year. So that's a great performance from him. But the really impressive thing is the Steelers boxed that run game. Absolutely shut it down. They had 15 total rush yards from the best backfield in football. I mean, that's the by far the best backfield, I think. I mean, Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson up there we just talked about is really, really good. But this is two guys that are probably top 15 running backs, and they shut them down absolutely. And then going down to the bottom, looking at receivers, they couldn't shut down the Jahmyr Gibbs in the receiving game. He did have a good day, 10 for 30, 10 for 66, and also a touchdown. But overall, they didn't let Amon-Ra St. Brown run all over him, and that's positive. And Jameson Williams had a good day, but pretty good from that Steelers defense. And then on the other side for the Steelers on their offense, heck yeah, Aaron Rodgers playing good in that old age, man. 266 yards and a touchdown goes out to his guy Kenneth Gainwell, who you mentioned last week was probably the best addition that they made in the offseason for that cheap contract. He's the leading receiver in this game, and then Adam Thielen. We kind of joked that that was a no big deal type of addition, but we joked that he could be the wide receiver too. But I mean, honestly, decent day from Adam Thielen. Four catches on four pass attempts and had 49 yards. That's really, really solid from a guy that was literally cut and free, and you went and grabbed him, and that's really, really positive for the Steelers. But the big sign for them is, heck yeah, man, this run game, 27 carries as a team, 230 yards, so averaging 8.5 yards a carry and two touchdowns. That is incredible. I mean, they ran the ball all over the Lions. The Lions had no answer for it. Jaylen Warren had his best game of the season, 14 carries, 143 yards, two touchdowns. And again, Kenneth Gainwell adds on top of the really good receiving day with 50 yards on the ground. All positive things from the Steelers. Really, really impressive day. And I know this game made you happy because that ending, golly, I bet you were on fire sitting there watching that, nervous, dripping in sweat because that ending was the craziest thing I've ever seen. One of the most consistent kickers in the NFL over the last 15 years misses a gimme field goal. I mean, it wasn't a 50-yarder. I'm saying that's a gimme for Chris Boswell, and shanks it, and you're thinking, oh no, here we go. Here comes the Detroit, drive all the way down the field, score a touchdown to win it. Guess what Detroit did? They drove it all the way down the field, and they just couldn't score the touchdown to win it on what was one of the weirdest endings ever. I mean, they had like a 5-minute sit in the middle of the field and talk about a penalty. And honestly, you go back and watch it, they made the right call. Amon-Ra did push off on the corner, and so that should never have been a touchdown. But golly, the way that they handled it was very poor, and it made it look really bad. But overall, Steelers get a huge, huge victory, and they can seal the fate of the Ravens and give themselves a playoff spot with one more victory. Colin, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I said last week was the most complete game they had played, and this one I would say was even more complete than that one. The offense looked amazing. This is the best offense look since, honestly, since like prime Ben Roethlisberger. The run game was unbelievable. Jaylen Warren, who hadn't been playing as good recently, he had 14 carries, 143 yards. Granted, he had like two 50-yard rushes, but I mean, those are the longest runs I've seen from the Steelers in I don't know how long. And then the play right before halftime with Kenneth Gainwell, he made a crazy catch, and then he gets
Oh
up and
yeah.
runs it in. Just really good offense. And then, like you mentioned, the 12 carries and 15 yards for probably the best backfield tandem in the NFL is really good. And then going back to the Colts game, they shut down Jonathan Taylor, 14 carries for 45 yards. So I guess whenever they're going into a team that can run the ball, they decide that they can play run defense. But
Yeah.
then you go up against a Chase Brown or something, and
Yeah.
you can't stop them at all. So maybe just prepare like you're going against Barry Sanders every week, and the defense will be fine. Yeah, but I mean, overall, this is just a really good game from the team. You did see at the end the Lions kind of figured out what they were doing. They were kind of just shutting down Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs, and then the Lions started going to like Jamison Williams and Khalif Raymond, Isaac Tesla, and that's kind of what got them down the field on that last drive and all throughout the fourth quarter, really. And then, like you mentioned, the ending was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about a roller coaster of emotions. The Lions scored once, had the ball on the one, they scored, and it got negated because of offensive pass interference for the first time, and then the last play they score again, and it's negated because of offensive pass interference, both of which were good calls.
Yeah.
And the defensive pass interference and defensive tripping were the right calls. So,
Yeah.
good job by the officials. A terrible job announcing the calls.
Yeah.
They go on the air and say the result of the play is a touchdown is the first thing they say, and then however,
Yeah.
so it just gets the fans all riled up and whatever. But another big storyline from this one is DK Metcalf getting into an altercation with a fan. I mean, I don't care what the fan says, you can't punch a fan. And now he's going to be out for the rest of the season. That suspension was upheld today. So he's going to be out, which is huge because now next week, like we said, you have Denzel Ward guarding Adam Thielen, Calvin Austin. It don't matter who it is, he's going to lock them down.
Yeah.
uh, any of those guys. So maybe you'll see a bunch of the three tight end sets from the Steelers next week. But a good win this week and huge loss from the Ravens, which we'll get into later. But just one win away from clinching the division.
I will say everything is pointing in the right direction for the Steelers, but that just makes next week's game so much more like it's so much more difficult to win because
Yeah.
you can't just throw it up to DK. Like normally that's an option. Aaron Rodgers has the ability once a game to just throw it up to DK and see if he can make a big time play. That's not out there anymore. Throw it up to Darnell Washington. I mean, it might be the same situation. He's 6'8". He probably can out jump anybody, but you just don't have that, and that could be worrying. But again, I feel very good about the Steelers' chances to make the playoffs now, especially because the Browns, who knows with Shador, the injury news there. So I feel good for the Steelers and the Lions, man. The playoffs seem pretty tough to get to right now with the 8-7 record. Moving on to this next one here, one that we certainly don't need to spend too much time on, but it was a lot closer than we both thought it would be. This is the 14.5 point spread this game. So we thought, we were talking about like this probably won't be 14.5, but we said it's probably gonna be a blowout still. Like it'd probably be 14. Well, no, the Raiders actually play pretty good football. They get a healthy Geno Smith, and he has a day where he doesn't turn the ball over a ton. He still has an interception, but he goes 201, one touchdown, and or two touchdowns, I should say. And so that's a pretty good day through the air. But the big storyline here is, man, that pick for Ashton Jeanty looks good. Finally, it looks like a really good pick, and that's probably mostly on that offensive line not playing good this year. But against the best defense in the NFL is the day he breaks out and goes 24 for 128 on the ground and one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown through the air. By far his best day all year. If you had him in fantasy, you finally got rewarded for picking him where you picked him at. And just a really, really good day from Ashton Jeanty. The flashes of the real talent that he has is there. They play Jack Besh again, and he gets some receptions, 2 for 43, so not a crazy day, but play Jack Besh. He's a good player. He has a lot to play for. He had one of the saddest moments of his entire life happen right before the season started and dedicated his career to his brother. That's the kind of guy that is going to have the drive and determination to be a good football player. Absolutely, you should give him the chance to be one. And since they started playing him, he's really stepped up in a big way. So I hope Jack Besh gets the ball more often in the future. And man, it looks really good for Jeanty. And Geno actually played pretty good in this game. All that being said, not enough to beat the Houston Texans, who are a good football team. C.J. Stroud, 23 for 35, 187 and a touchdown. And then they just go to a bunch of different backs. Honestly, Dare Agumbawale touched the ball in this game as a running back because of the injury to Woody Marks. But Jawar Jordan is the story here. I saw how he did last week when he got the ball. This week he has 53 yards on the ground, but on top of that, he had 5 catches, 17 yards. No touchdown on the day, but good day overall from Jawar Jordan and just making plays when they needed him to. Nick Chubb also gets the ball a little bit in this game. Nico Collins ends up being the lead receiver. But solid day from the Texans. You don't want to give up 21 points to the Raiders, but heck, you can't help it when Ashton Genty's having a Boise State flashback game where he's playing like he did in college, where he was the entire offense. So you handled it, you got the victory, and that's all that matters. The Texans look like a playoff team right now, and they're one of the scarier defenses to face if you run into them in that playoff scenario. Colin, your thoughts here?
Good win here for the Texans. Like you said, Ashton Genty got going. And I mean, he got going like he did back in Boise, like you said. So when he gets going like that, there's really not much to do to stop him. You saw him carry a not great Boise State team all the way to the playoffs last
Yeah.
year. So he is obviously a really good back. And then he had the one catch for 60 yards and a touchdown. So adding some through the air as well. For the Raiders, I think, yeah, like I said, Geno is definitely a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett. You got to see him a little last week, and I'm sure you probably don't want to see it again. Uh, and then for the Texans, the offense wasn't great this game, but it did enough with the defense. The defense didn't have its best game, but 21 points is still a pretty good game. And then it's just the one concern I do have for the Texans going into the playoffs would be their run game. Obviously, you have Nick Chubb, but he's nowhere near what he used to be. And then Jawar Jordan, I don't know that he's like a premier back for sure. So it just other than that though, I mean the Texans they have a great quarterback, really one of the best defenses in the NFL. If they get to get that run game going just a little bit more, especially once you get in that December football, you're not going to be able to or January football, I guess for the playoffs, you're not going to be able to throw the ball as much anymore, especially if you're not playing at home for the Texans. So just like to see him get that run game going a little more, and I think they'll be fine in the playoffs. But a good win here over the Raiders, and one that you definitely needed.
Yeah, I definitely think they need Woody Marks back. They need a premier back. I wouldn't say he's premier yet, but he has looked really good as a rookie. So they need that. They definitely need him to be healthy. I don't know the severity of his injury, but I think it's not bad enough to hold him out for the rest of the year. So you could see Woody Marks. He has had a lot of injury designations this year, though, through practices and everything. I think he's been questionable like every single game. So that's kind of just been what they get with him is when he's on the field, he's really good, but he's had a lot of injury problems. So they need him back soon because you're right. That rushing attack does need to get a little bit better if they want to compete in a playoff scenario. Moving on to this last one here of the Sunday day slate is Patriots Ravens, and this was a really fun game. The Patriots actually didn't have the lead going into that fourth quarter, but again, the Ravens they just blow another game. They don't play good football, and at halftime, honestly, it looked like they had a chance. And watching this game, I don't think the Ravens looked all that great, to be honest with you. And somehow they were in it with the Patriots. So I guess Vegas knew something with that betting line, thinking it was going to be a close game. The Ravens, to me, don't look like a very scary football team right now, partially because I don't think Lamar Jackson is just at full strength, and then obviously he goes out of this game. And if you're facing them without Lamar Jackson, you're certainly a lot less scared than you are when you're facing them with Lamar Jackson, even if he's healthy. Snoop Huntley wasn't bad, 9 for 10, so great completion percentage, 65 yards, but that's not enough to win you a football game. Derrick Henry was incredible in this game until he fumbled the ball. And when he fumbled the ball, he didn't touch it again. I don't know what was the thought process there by Harbaugh. Maybe the fumble, he's punishing him. Buddy, you can't punish the guy whenever you've got to win this game. That's not the moment you do it. He had 18 carries for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had the team strapped on his back. So, yeah, he had a fumble, but guess what? He also got you to where you were at. Give him the ball. I mean, I love Derrick Henry, so obviously I'm taking his side in this situation, but just kind of seems like a dumb move to not give the best player on your team in a cold weather scenario the football. That just seems stupid. So I don't know. I think Harbaugh's days in Baltimore are done if they lose this next couple weeks and don't make the playoffs. And that man, wow, would that be insane if that's the way he goes out after all the success that he's had with the Baltimore Ravens and the winning that they've done over the years. They seem like they're always in the hunt. it just would be a crazy way to go out. Of course, you look at the Patriots statistics there. Drake May has an awesome day. He does throw an interception, but man, 380 yards and 2 touchdowns absolutely makes up for that. And Stephon Diggs was finally the lead guy that he is, and he did it again in this game, going 9 catches, 138 yards. Didn't have to score a touchdown to be effective. Matt Collins was also really good, 7 for 69 in this game. And then the rushing attack wasn't too bad. Ramondre Stevenson actually got it going a little bit on the ground, 8 carries, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Drake May, of course, did a little bit of that as well. So overall, really good day from the Patriots. They show you why they're one of the best teams in the league. The resiliency, the ability to come into that final quarter, and as you can see, they erase that 11-point deficit and get a victory to clinch up a playoff spot, which hasn't been said for the Patriots in a little while. And the Ravens, man, the collapse that they've had, and it's not just game by game; it's the entire year has been a full collapse. They get on a winning streak, blow it, lose a bunch of games. They find a game where they're up by 14 with what was it, like 5 minutes left against the Bills to start the year, blow it. Should never have lost that game. That's just the season. That right there should have told you how this Ravens season was going to go. Was the very first game, just collapse after collapse after collapse, and now they're looking really really bad to try to catch the Steelers and win that division. Colin, your thoughts here?
Yeah, huge win for the Patriots. If you're a Steelers fan, you're definitely rooting for the Patriots in this one. I mean, there's just a not great coaching. I mean, you had, like you said, you pull Derrick Henry, and he says it's due to a planned rotation. But I mean, he's the best, one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL for the past 7, 8 years, and you don't give him the ball. I mean, he's had some fumbling issues, but I mean, he's since the beginning of the year, it's been much better.
Yeah,
He fumbles the ball one time and he doesn't touch the ball again. I mean, it just blows my mind. I think absolutely John Harbaugh should be out the door for the Ravens. They're one of the most talented teams in the NFL when healthy, and I mean, they're probably going to miss the playoffs this year. So that's just an embarrassment, honestly, for the Ravens to miss the playoffs or possibly miss the playoffs this year. And then on the other side for the Patriots, Drake May just continued to do what he's been doing all year. Great game from him. Travion Henderson was not able to get going too well. I believe he got hurt as well.
yeah,
So that'll be something to watch out for going into next week because if Ramondre is running the ball, you always have the fumbling concerns.
yeah.
Um, and then also for the Ravens, Lamar he got injured and is questionable for next week. So you could possibly see a Malik Willis versus Tyler Huntley matchup in that game in the Ravens' biggest game of the year. So that'll be fun to watch as well. But just honestly, the Ravens were in this closer than I thought they would be, especially after Lamar got hurt. But then just blew it at the end, like you've seen time and time again from the Ravens and just terrible coaching, not giving Derrick Henry the ball. I mean, it's really inexcusable. I don't know what the planned rotation. I don't get it. You trust Keaton Mitchell more than you trust Derrick Henry when the game's on the line, and I don't know what more to say about that.
The game is on the line and your season is on the line, and
Yeah,
more than likely your job is on the line. And you say, let me not give it to the guy who literally not I'm again Derrick Henry fan. I've said it many times on the podcast. A guy who has projected ability to be the greatest running back in NFL football history, and you're like, you know what, Keaton Mitchell, you're the guy.
yeah,
Go get it for me. And what did Keaton Mitchell do? I think it was like 9 carries for 17 yards.
yeah. Average 1.8 yards per carry. So
Exactly. Just boneheaded coaching, boneheaded. And again, I don't think John Harbaugh's a bad coach. I think John Harbaugh's a good coach. But this season, he just has struggled. And I think maybe he lost the locker room. Maybe the guys don't like him. And maybe that's the issue. If I'm the Titans and John Harbaugh's available, I would think that's a really good hire because John Harbaugh's a guy that's won a lot of football games. But just for the Ravens, as of today, he just isn't the guy going forward anymore with them. Moving on, last but not least in our recaps here to Monday Night Football, which is not a game worth talking about very much at all. I will say some really positive things from Philip Rivers with the Colts. He goes 277, 2 touchdowns, does have the really bad pick six, but man, you honestly got what you could get out of him. That was really, really solid performance from him. I've never disliked Philip Rivers. I've always liked him, even though he's playing for the team I absolutely despise in the Colts. But good on him. I'm glad he had a good day, and honestly, he gave him the best chance he could. It's just their defense is abysmal. Their defense is one of the worst that I've watched this year, and that's just now with the injuries that they have. I mean, Brock Purdy tore them apart. 295, 5 touchdowns through the air from Brock Purdy. This is probably his best game of the season. Really, really impressive performance from him. And then, of course, they run the ball all over him as well. Christian McCaffrey has 21 carries for 117 yards on the ground. And then on top of that, Christian McCaffrey adds 6 catches for 29 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. And then, just cherry on top, George Kittle, 7 for 115 and a touchdown. So he dominated you through the air and he dominated you on the ground game because he was blocking like crazy because that's what George Kittle does. He's probably the best blocking tight end in the NFL and he's also one of the best receivers. That's why I think he has an argument for best tight end in the NFL because of how much he does in the run game and the passing game. This was just embarrassing. I mean, you let him score double digits in every quarter of this game. I mean, that's really ugly if you're the Colts, man. Wow, you gave away those first round picks for Sauce Gardner, who is just unavailable, and now that first round pick you don't even have it, and you're potentially going to miss the playoffs, which means your pick's going to be a decent pick. That's really unfortunate for the Colts. I know they were trying to sell out and go out and win games, but just everything that's piled up on top of what they already had not going for them, it's really hurting them. And man, their season is practically over. They'd have to have some little crazy stretch here at the end. Jonathan Taylor, just to add on, last but not least, 46 yards, 1 touchdown, and also had a little bit of receiving work, 3 for 33. So not a bad day from him. And Alec Pierce, who is an upcoming free agent, I wouldn't mind the Titans, going after him. 4 for 86 and 2 touchdowns. A good day from him, but just not enough. And the Colts drop a really ugly one to the Niners. Your thoughts here, Colin?
Yeah, Philip Rivers' defense letting him down again is kind of the story of his career. Honestly, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Obviously, not up there with Brady or any of those guys, but he's definitely probably going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So, and it's been his whole career. His defense has let him down. So, I guess that stays the same even coming out of retirement. But I mean the 49ers, they played a really good game, not to discount them in any way. Brock Purdy, like you said, had probably the best game of his career. McCaffrey, he's been rolling on the ground and through the air, so that's really scary for opposing teams. And then Kittle, man, he's like you said, one of the best receiving tight ends and the best blocking tight end in the NFL. So he is a definite weapon for the 49ers. And then for the Colts, I mean, your season's likely over. But you can't blame Philip Rivers for this one at all. This one's completely on the defense, and it's really just surprising because during when they were 8-2 or 7-1, whatever it was, the defense was solid for them. I mean, I don't know what happened. At the end of the year, the defense and the offense both have been abysmal. I mean, uh, obviously it all starts with Jonathan Taylor for their offense, and he wasn't really able to get going, but the offense wasn't the issue. They scored 27 points, which I mean, that should be enough to keep you in the game. You shouldn't get blown out if you score 27 points. So, just an abysmal defensive performance by the Colts here. Not too much more to say on that one.
Yep. Again, I think you're right, and I think we both stated it there. Their season is basically over. I guess there's some like outside chance they can make the playoffs, but they have to play the Jaguars and the Texans to
Yeah.
finish the year, and that is again this division usually a laughing stock. That's two teams that could make an AFC Championship run. So you don't want to play those two teams to finish the season. No way they win them both. Likely season over. We'll roll on into our schedule here now for week 17, which again, going to be one of the last 2 weeks of the regular season. So every one of these games end up meaning a lot, or at least for all the teams that are looking for that playoff push. Look like December 25th, Christmas Day. We've got some football and going to be some football on Netflix, which is interesting. I don't think we've had that. And then Prime, of course, finishing it off there with their Thursday game that they get every year due to that contract. Very unfortunate. Look at these spreads. I mean, that sucks. The NFL scheduled some games that they thought were going to be really fun. Dallas, Washington, if you got last year's Washington team, probably would have been a good game. Detroit, Minnesota, both were fighting for that division title last year, 14 wins apiece. Thought that was going to be a really good game. And then Denver, Kansas City, you think that's probably two teams that could win an AFC championship game. And now one of them has Chris Alud, whatever his name is, and seventh round pick who didn't even make his team. This is a bad Christmas Day slate. I feel really bad for the league, for the schedule. Starting it off here, of course, Dallas at Washington. Washington is just not a good football team. I don't think Dallas is great, but I just don't think Washington can drive it up and down the field and score on Dallas like other teams can, and that's how you beat the Cowboys, is their defense just isn't good enough to stop you. Dallas's offense is way too good for the old Washington defense, so give me Dallas going on the road and getting a win in Landover.
Yeah, I like Dallas in this one as well. I mean, obviously their defense is not great, neither is Washington's, but I trust Dallas's offense much more than I trust Washington's in this one, so I'm gonna go with Dallas.
Moving on to this next one here, of course, the second game on Netflix, Detroit going on the road to Minnesota. But this game, I mean, honestly, this probably would have been the best game of the week if we had JJ McCarthy healthy. But now there's no JJ McCarthy, and Max Brosmer is going to be the starter for Minnesota. I know they're getting it at home, and I've always, claimed that that's one of the best home field advantages, and I do think it is. They have a great crowd, but they just don't have much of a chance against Detroit, who is desperate for a win, who has to score a ton of points, and I just don't see Minnesota having the ability to go out and stop them consistently, and then answer back with a ton of points if Max Brosmer at quarterback. So he'll give me the Lions to get a victory here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Lions here as well. Like you said, Max Brosmer is going to be the quarterback. They may have had a chance, like you said, with J.J. McCarthy, which is kind of crazy to say after his first bit
Yeah.
of his career, but he has much improved in the past couple weeks, which is so it's unfortunate timing for him to get a broken hand. But Detroit, they're definitely in need of a win here, and I think they'll get it.
Moving on to this next one here. This is the easiest of the four, or easiest of the three games, which is insane. You see Chiefs on there, you don't think it's an easy pick by any means. But Denver is just a really good football team. I expect them to bounce back after the loss they just had. And the Chiefs just got embarrassed at Tennessee against the Titans, and we are a three-win football team. There's no way they beat a 12-win team, and the Denver Broncos looking for revenge after the loss they had last week. Also, on top of that, of all things, to just pile on top of this bad season for Kansas City, they're no longer going to be in Kansas City. The team is moving the stadium into Kansas, which is a common misconception that they play in Kansas. They play in Kansas City, Missouri, but they're going to be moving into Kansas, and all the fans are going to be there rioting against that decision because they've been there since the 60s. So, kind of a crazy decision to make after the season you just had. But Denver Broncos absolutely going to win this game in Arrowhead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Denver in this one as well. I think that's a no-brainer. They could get embarrassed with Chris Olakundo at quarterback. Uh, Not even good enough to make the Steelers roster when Mitch Trubisky was their starting quarterback. So I definitely don't see him starting and beating a 12-3 Denver Broncos. So give me the Broncos here.
Especially not a Denver Broncos team that has the best corner in football and some of the better defensive ends in football too. It's like just any possible matchup you could get. The Titans is probably the one you wanted, and he didn't even play good in that game. So yeah, yeah, 100%. That one feels like the best bet on the docket here. Moving into our Saturday games, of course, like we said last week, you get those towards the end of the year as they start spreading the games out a little bit. And this is a really good Saturday. I honestly wish this was the Christmas Day games. Houston taking on LA in a battle of two teams that are pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs, and two teams I really don't think you want to play right now. Houston has that defense that's just really, really, really good. He can get after a quarterback at a high level, and then LA, kind of the inverse of that, has that offense that just has a million different weapons. The running game has been really good since Hampton returned, and they have four different receivers that I trust to get the ball in their hands and make plays. This is honestly, there is no home field advantage in SoFi with the Chargers. They just don't have a lot of fans out there, but I still like the Chargers in this game. Could be a little bit of a crazy pick because Houston is so good defensively getting after the quarterback, and who knows Herbert's health status. I know he's been better as of late, but you get him down one time and he hurts his hand, anything could happen. But I just like the Chargers a lot. I love all the weapons that they have, and if anybody can find a way to beat the really good Houston defense, I think it's a high-powered offense. So give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chargers in this one as well. You just saw the Texans struggle a little bit with the Raiders 23-21, and the Chargers kind of blew out Dallas this week. So, like you said, trust that offense quite a bit here. So give me Los Angeles.
Yeah, and also props to Odafe Owe. That trade, he had no sacks with Baltimore. They sent him off. They were saying, "Yeah, we don't want him anymore." He goes to LA and he's a dog. He is one of the better pass rushers since he's got there. I bet Baltimore, who is the next team we talk about, would love to have that on their team right now. Going into this next game, Baltimore going on the road to play at Lambeau Field. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't care how much Baltimore needs this game. If you're playing at Lambeau in December, there is not a much of a chance you have going in there and playing, especially if that Packers team is riled up and ready to go. I don't care if it's Malik Willis. He had a great game, honestly. Malik Willis came in and threw for 120 yards and a touchdown and had really no bad balls. And their defense is certainly better than Baltimore's. I know they've had the injury to Micah Parsons, but they've been able to get after people. I trust them more. I trust their run game more. I do think Josh Jacobs has the potential to not play, but I just think Green Bay's better coached at this point, and I love them in their home field advantage. I just think it's so good. And look what they just did to the Packer or the Bears, I should say. They almost beat the Bears, who should have beat the Bears, honestly, and that's a playoff team. So yeah, give me Green Bay at home.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick here because kind
Yeah.
of unsure of the quarterback situation, but if it's Malik Willis and Tyler Huntley, I'm gonna take Malik Willis right now. He's been playing really good since he got to Green Bay. Anytime
Yeah.
that Jordan Love's been hurt, he's stepped in and done a exceptional job. So I'm gonna go with Green Bay in this one. And honestly, if Green Bay does beat Baltimore in this one, Pittsburgh can set their players on Sunday,
Yeah.
which is huge. That'll be 2 weeks of rest if needed.
Yeah, and also that DK Metcalf suspension means absolutely nothing. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that playing into the effects of when you play these games and all that. So, I mean, that's absolutely massive. The Steelers are the biggest Packers fans on planet Earth that aren't Packers fans right now.
Yeah.
Moving on to our Sunday day slate here. Arizona taking on Cincinnati is going to kick it off. Not a game that too many people would be tuned into, but could get some really good quarterback play in this one because the two defenses are awful in this game. So could potentially see a really high scoring game. I do think the Bengals are just a little bit better, especially with Joe Burrow back and going. Jamar Chase is available. Who knows when T. Higgins could return? If it's this game, T. Higgins is going to be available. So if you get all that together on top of a really good Chase Brown as the running back who has had some awesome weeks here recently, they're just way too good offensively. Cardinals can't stop them. Give me the Bengals here.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the Bengals in this one as well. In Cincinnati, it's gonna be really cold. Arizona's probably just playing in their little dome. It's definitely not gonna be in a dome in this one.
Yeah.
And like you said, the Bengals' offense is better than Arizona's offense, and both these defenses are abysmal. But I like Cincinnati's offense better, so I'm gonna go with them.
Moving on to this next one here. You've obviously got a dog in this fight, so I'll start it off. Pittsburgh taking on Cleveland in a really fun one. Not really. Just kidding. I think Pittsburgh is a far better football team. The reason I think that this could be fun though is with, like you said, the potential of the Ravens losing, so then the Steelers don't play their starters, and then Myles Garrett is just hunting a sack against the backup quarterback, and who knows if he can find that against Mason Rudolph? Because well, there's some history there, isn't there? That could be interesting, but I do think the Steelers are the far better football team. If they're playing their starters, I absolutely think they win this one. So give me the Steelers.
Yeah, depending on how that Baltimore game goes, it will be kind of decisive in how this one goes, I
Yeah.
think. But it would be absolutely hilarious if Miles Garrett record-breaking sack was on Mason Rudolph. Just the irony there with their history. But I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh on this one because I've been picking Pittsburgh the past 3 weeks and they've won the last 3 weeks. So I'm gonna keep that going. It really just depends. I think even without DK, I think they can beat Cleveland without DK as long as all their other starters play. But if Baltimore wins and they don't play their other starters, I don't know. I don't know who and all they'll sit and everything. But I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh anyway.
Moving on to this next one here. Nissan Stadium, it's in Nashville, but I don't think that helps the Titans too much. I went to a game actually a few years ago. Derrick Henry just so happened to not play in that game. We played the New Orleans Saints as the one game he missed that year, and we lost. And they were doing some Saints chants, and you know their little who day. I think they do similar to what the Bengals do. They do a who day Saints chant. I don't know, but it was really annoying, and there was a ton of Saints fans. So I know that they will show up in droves again to watch their young quarterback. Should be a really fun matchup of the two young quarterbacks, but I just think the Saints are rolling right now. I mean, their defense was all over the Jets last week. I have my concerns about what they could do in this game against Tennessee because we're just struggling as well when it comes to pass blocking. We haven't had the best pass blocking at times. The left side of the line has been doing a lot better, but the right side still have our concerns. I think the Saints are overall just a little bit more talented too. They have that top end receiver, and man, we don't have anybody that can cover Chris Olave. So give me the Saints, but I think it'll be really close. I think the Titans will score a lot of points in this game, but I just don't think we can keep up with the Saints, who again they're going to just throw the ball a ton. They showed they want to do that anyways, and our secondary can't stop it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints here as well. It's kind of odd to say with a 5-10 and 3-12 team playing, but both these teams are kind of on a roll a little
Yeah.
bit. You've seen both of them playing much better this part of the season. But like you said, I don't know that Tennessee has anyone that can cover Chris Olave, and I mean, this will be a fun game to watch with these two rookie quarterbacks. Both of them have been playing really good recently, so it'll be fun to watch. But I'm gonna go with New Orleans.
Moving on to this next one here. Earlier in the year, this would have been a really fun one to pick, probably because the Colts were rolling. They were going to get it at home, and they honestly would have been the favorite. Now it's flip flopped, and Jacksonville Jaguars are playing literally some of the best football in the entire NFL right now. Do not think they dropped this game on the road to Indianapolis, and man, that losing streak just keeps on building. The Colts' playoff hopes die, and Trevor Lawrence. He's finally going to get the opportunity to show who he really is, get a big playoff chance, and maybe make a run with the team that they have. Give me the Jags.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jags here as well. Honestly, I could see them covering the spread in this one too, as bad as Indianapolis lost to the 49ers last week. And I mean, the way that Jacksonville's been playing recently, they could beat just about anyone. So I'm going to go Jacksonville here.
Moving on to this next one here, Tampa Bay taking on Miami in a battle of two teams that love it when it's hot outside. I don't think it really matters. I think Tampa Bay desperately needs to win this football game. If they lose, they could potentially be out of the playoffs because Carolina's result will determine that. So I don't think they can lose this one, and I don't think that the quarterback in Miami is any good, no matter who it is. I know Tua's moved down to the third string spot. They are pretty much done with him. So I just don't think they have a chance to beat the Buccaneers when they're this desperate. So give me Tampa Bay.
Yep, I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay here too. Quinn Ewers, he showed last week that he's not the answer at quarterback. Tua, I think is probably a better quarterback than him, but they're just trying to see what they have because they know they're probably done with Tua. So I think Miami knows their season's over, which obviously they're out of the playoffs now. No shot there, but Tampa, they have a lot riding on this game, so I'm gonna go with them.
Moving on to our next one here. This is the easiest one by far. I'm surprised that this spread is less than that Texans Vegas spread, to be honest with you. I think New England is just so much better than the Jets that it doesn't even matter that the Jets are. I mean, I'd take New England and 10 points when they had everybody healthy on the Jets. So, yeah, I don't think the Jets have much of a chance at all here. They will lose, and they will lose by a lot. Give me the Patriots.
Yep, I'm with you on this one as well. The Patriots have been playing some good football, and the New York Jets have been playing some terrible football since, I mean, especially since Tyrod went down. That
Yeah.
was kind of like I said, he wasn't their answer at quarterback long term, but he was playing solid football. And
Yeah.
ever since Brady Cook got in there, he has been absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Patriots here.
Yeah, don't forget Tyrod got them a victory. So he did a little bit for the boys. I will always rep my Hokies in the league. Moving on to this next one here, Seattle taking on Carolina. Think Carolina needs this one. It's a big game. They could separate themselves from the Buccaneers, especially if they lose. They would actually seal up their playoff spot. But I just don't think they can beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle is just way too good. We saw how they can come back in games last week with a really impressive victory. No way do they follow up that really impressive win with a loss. So give me the Seahawks to go into Charlotte and get a victory.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks in this one too. They're just a really, really good football team. You saw that last week in their amazing comeback that they had. And I mean, this game really it doesn't matter that much for Carolina, assuming Tampa Bay beats Miami because they're gonna have to beat Tampa Bay last game of the year anyways. So I think that's kind of what their season really rides on is that last game of the year. So I'm gonna go with Seattle here, but it's not the end of the world for the Panthers.
And now we get into the next three that are pretty tough to pick. And the first one is tough to pick because both teams are so bad. But New York, I think, is honestly a better football team. I just like their defense a little bit better. But they've done nothing to tell me that. They've played horrible football. Last week was one of the worst games they've played all year. And honestly, Vegas just played a really good football game against the Texans. And Geno didn't look bad at all. And Ashton Genty, man, if he got going in that one, I think he can get going in this one. This defense is nowhere near as good as that Texans defense. So I'm actually going to take the Vegas Raiders at home to get a win, which will pretty much solidify the New York Giants as the number one overall pick. And so it's going to hurt Vegas to win this game, but they did it last year with Antonio Pierce as the coach. They went out and won a game they should not have won and hurt their draft pick. So they obviously don't care about tanking. So give me the Vegas Raiders, and I think that Geno Smith is just going to be enough, and Ashton Genty will get going in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one as well. I don't know what's going on there in New York. They like I said they threw the ball 13 times last week, so I'm not sure if there's something with Jackson Dart or what the deal is, but I don't think unless you are absolutely dominating on the ground, which they're not, I don't think you can win a game throwing the ball 13 times. So and like you said, Las Vegas they played a great game against
Yeah.
one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. So I'm gonna go with the Raiders here.
Moving on to our next one, Philly at Buffalo. This is a really fun game. This is a potential Super Bowl matchup, and it would be a really good one, I think, if we got this in the Super Bowl. There is some concerns with Josh Allen and his injury, but I do think he is going to play. And if Josh Allen is on the field in Highmark Stadium at Orchard Park in New York, playing in front of the Bills fans, and honestly, probably going to be pretty cold, going to have some weather that the Bills love to play in. I don't think the Buffalo Bills lose a home game. I think it's going to be a really, really fun one. It's going to be a close one. Obviously, one you should absolutely tune into, but I just trust the Buffalo Bills. as much as anybody, and I think their run game is dominant. James Cook is incredible, and I think their defense can get enough stops to get off the field and get a win over the Eagles. Could be the statement win that they use to push themselves into the playoffs and potentially push for that one seed. Give me the Bills.
With you again on this one. I'm not sure how many we've gone apart on this time around, but the Eagles before they're coming off this three games that they've lost in a row, and then they beat the Raiders and Commanders. So it's not like they beat two really good teams. So uh, I'm not positive how good this Philadelphia team is based on the past two wins. I know this Buffalo team is good as they beat the Patriots just 2 weeks ago. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo in this one.
Yep, and moving on to this next one here, the last game on Sunday, the late game, Chicago traveling to San Francisco. And this is two teams coming off of what was really impressive victories. A little bit different how they got the victories. Of course, Chicago does it late and has the incredible comeback. And then San Francisco, just absolute dominant fashion. They looked like the team that everybody thought could win a Super Bowl. And to me, they are that football team. I think absolutely this team can win it all. They have one of the best coaches in the sport. They have a quarterback who is playing with a chip on his shoulder because everybody said they overpaid him and he was the last pick. And man, he balled out last week. They have a running back that if he's fully healthy, he's probably the best in the league because he brings the upside of the ground game, but the incredible receiving game. Not to underplay what Bijan and Jonathan Taylor and those guys do, but Christian McCaffrey's been doing it for a while, and so he understands what to do. And then they have George Kittle, who, when fully healthy, only improves that rushing attack, but also makes Brock Purdy a far better quarterback because he is one of the best receiving threats in the league. I think you add all that together with a really good defense and a coach that can coach a defense at a high level. I think they're going to get a victory against a young Chicago team. No disrespect to Chicago. I think that all those positive things I said about San Francisco, I could say the same about their team this year, but they have a first-year coach, they have a young quarterback, and they're going into Levi Stadium in an important game. I think San Francisco just has that veteran experience and leadership. I think they take this one in a very close one. Give me the Niners.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chicago in this one. Caleb Williams, I think he showed me a lot last week. I wasn't down on him. I think he's a really good NFL quarterback, but I still thought that there were some places that he could improve, and I think he showed me a little bit last week that he's improved, especially in that fourth quarter and overtime, like I said. So I'm gonna go with Chicago here. I do think San Francisco has a great team, but I think Chicago might get one on them here. So I'm gonna go with the Bears.
Yeah, and I think absolutely this is one of those games of the week. These two last games, man, they did something with the schedule. They got a really good Saturday, and they've got two really good ones at the end of the day on Sunday. Unfortunately, not the same to be said about Monday Night Football. LA taking on Atlanta in Atlanta. I just don't think that the Falcons have anything for the Rams. I think that they could probably hang around for a little bit. They have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, and they have those edge rushers that are pretty good. But Matthew Stafford has been picking apart really good defenses, and Atlanta certainly isn't a very good defense. They have some key players, but I just don't trust them in a game against Matthew Stafford, who is arguably the MVP. Again, I think it's him and Drake May going to come down the stretch, and we'll see who wins it. But that team is just so good. Puka Nacua literally showed you he can go for 200 yards and two touchdowns any week. He did it last week with a really, really impressive performance. And they're also going to want to bounce back after they took that tough loss in overtime on a two-point conversion. I think there's no worries here if you're an LA fan. I think you go in here, you get a victory. Give me the Rams.
Yep, I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one as well. This Falcons team, they won last week, and I think they do have some pieces moving forward that are going to be really good for them. But this year, I mean, the Rams have just been dominant. They did lose last week, but they're playing the arguably the second best team in the NFC or first, however you look at it. Rams and them are the top two in my opinion. But the Rams offense is unbelievable, and the Falcons defense has not been great this year. So I'm gonna go with the Rams here.
Yep, and that wraps up our entire schedule here that you're looking at. Again, I think me and Colin were almost exact on the picks here this week. I was kind of keeping track of it in my head, thinking we're going to do it. We're finally going to pick every single game the exact same, and we switched it up here on Chicago, San Francisco. The last one, too, that I knew was going to be close because this one I knew we were both taking LA. So we didn't do it, but I thought if there's any week it could happen, by the time we got down here and we started picking the exact same way, I was like, it's going to happen, and then it doesn't. But if you are a fan of betting slips potentially, if being Colin, the two experts here, going over all these picks or picking all of them going one way, you might want to throw a little slip together and see what you can parlay into a potential victory. A lot of winnings would be there on the line if you picked all 16 games correctly, of course.
Yeah,
Or even
for
if
sure.
you just want to go for 15 of the games because we went the same on 15 of the 16 games. But we will obviously wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. A lot of fun. Love covering those recaps. Of course, going over the games that just happened. A really important one for the Steelers. Gotta love it as a Titans fan, seeing Cam Ward ball out and playing at the level that I know he can play at. Finally, you saw that a little bit, and it should honestly be fun for us as Titans fans to go into the off season and see what we do. For you, you got a postseason coming up, so should see if Aaron Rodgers can do something, pull off some magic, and get you into that deep playoff run. You know Aaron Rodgers has pulled off some magic in the playoffs, a couple Hail Marys in one of those playoff runs. So should be really fun to watch them. Colin, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'm hoping Pittsburgh can clinch their playoff berth without even playing this week. Hopefully, Saturday night the Packers can take care of business. You know, it'll be interesting to see if they do sit the guys for 2 weeks
Yeah.
because you don't want to get them cold before they go into their. It'll be a wild card game, so you don't want to see them sit 2 weeks and then play in the playoffs. Might want to play them a little bit, maybe the first half or something in each of those games, but obviously the last thing you need is get people hurt. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how Mike Tomlin plays it. He's been in the situation before, so I'm not sure what he'll do, but that'll be interesting to see. And then, like I said, with the Titans, that'll be honestly a fun game to watch with those two rookie quarterbacks. We'll see what happens, but should be a fun week of games, like you said.
Yep, and that Sunday into that Sunday slate and that Saturday, the two games we have are just really good. So it should be a lot of fun to watch those games. Very unfortunate for the scheduling for the NFL that the Christmas Day games are all kind of not that great, honestly. I don't think any of them are really all that great to tune into. Maybe it's really fun to watch the Detroit and Minnesota game just because it's a rivalry matchup and you have so many implications for Detroit. But realistically, it's just not that great of a day. Obviously, if you are enjoying the content, check out the college football stuff. We're going to cover the next round of the playoffs. We just covered the last round. Did pretty good on our picks there, so got 3 for 4. That's honestly solid when you're picking those games. I mean, two of them were not really that difficult to pick, but two of them were complete toss-ups, and we hit the upset of Miami taking down Texas A&M. So check out the next round of the playoffs. We're gonna definitely cover those, and then we'll be back for some more NFL content. Of course, next Wednesday is the plan, and then come around playoff time to really be active on here because we'll talk about all the playoff matchups as well as the potential moves because coaches could get fired, coaches could get hired during that time period. So we'll have the news on here as well. And then look out for a mock draft coming very soon. Me, Colin, Hoppy, and maybe some other people. We might get some a big crew and have a little fun trade mock, which is pretty fun when you are controlling your own team to do some trades and whatnot and move around in the draft. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, comment. If you guys enjoyed the videos, it helps out a ton. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.